Reverend, good morning to you. I'm speaking to you off the back of the tweet that you published, and of course off the back of that article by the Chief Rabbi. Good morning to you. What's your reaction to that kind of comment? There is no apartheid in Israel. Good morning.
Well, good morning. As I indicated, I was shocked about it. I mean, I know the Chief Rabbi very well. We've got a relationship as religious leaders. But I was so shocked that he could make a statement that there's no apartheid in Israel. So I thought the best way to do it, as I did with the Chief Rabbi in 1988, was that we visit Palestine, Israel together so that we can go and show him, because I suspect when he goes to Israel, he does not go to other areas. But you know, there are basic texts about what's happening there. The laws that have developed over the last few years make it very clear they are developing an apartheid state. And there's literature that has been published about it. I think people don't want to read it. I mean, the first one is by Ben White, which is Israeli Apartheid, a beginner's guide. I read it, and it lists all the laws, which shows, in terms of international law, it's not just comparison with South Africa. Then there is the book on this is the article on this is apartheid by an Israeli human rights group called B'Tselem. And it's very clear, it's detailed, the laws within Israel, within the occupied areas. And then, of course, the latest, it's Amnesty International. And the leadership have spoken about it and they've documented it. But, you know, the best way is to go visit the place with Chief Rabbi, go to the places where people were forcefully removed to make room for illegal settlements, where the roads are demarcated that this is where Israelis will drive, where Palestinians will drive. There are walkways where they are fenced. You can't, if you are a Palestinian, walk on the other side. And you could go on in terms of the latest Knesset decision, which redefined the state of Israel, basically making it a Jewish state, which means the Arab Israelis and Palestinians who have been living within Israel, who never left after 1948, gets defined differently. And so I don't understand what that story is about.
Reverend,
but I mean, the best way
Reverend,
is to visit the
let me
place.
come in there. Yeah. Reverend Frank Chikane, forgive me. Let me come in because obviously I'd like to just get your thoughts on not just the comments about this, but have you engaged with the Chief Rabbi Goldstein on this? I know you're saying the best way to show the rabbi respectfully is to go there to a different part of Jerusalem, but have you spoken to the Chief Rabbi? Are you going to?
We've had lots of discussions over the years,
but more recently,
since 2014. We have also discussed with leadership of the Jewish community in South Africa. Very difficult to define because they don't all belong to the same place. But we agree that between us and the Jewish community in South Africa, there's no problem. We don't have problems. We are a democratic society. Everybody lives, in South Africa without any discrimination. Where the differences come with others, it's when the Israeli-Palestine matter arises. And our approach in South Africa is very simple. We know what discrimination is about. We know what apartheid is about. And when you violate other people's rights, confine them within Gaza, remember, they can't move out of that small space. I don't remember, it's 40 kilometers by 8. You can't move out without permission of the occupier. You can't get through the sea. You can't fly out. I can't go there without getting permission from the Israelis in it. And so the point is, you confine people, you take away their rights, you collect tax, you decide when you give back the tax to them.
Reverend, forgive me. I'm going to come in. I know there's a delay on the line, so it sounds like I'm talking over you. Reverend, forgive me. I'm not talking over you. Just a delay in the line to you. Reverend, I was asking about your call that Chief Rabbi Goldstein accompanies you to go over to a different part of Jerusalem since this letter was written this past weekend. I know you've spoken many times over the years, but since this letter came out, have you and the chief rabbi spoken? And are you going to invite him to Israel, to Jerusalem with you?
No, we have done it before. When I was, I think it was when I was General Secretary of the Council of Churches. We did it before. We agreed that the Board of Deputies or whatever structures that are there, the Muslim community leadership, and the Christians would go together there. And at that point, they then said, no, they can't do that. So we've tried it before. But I've gone there in 1988. It was the chief rabbi who invited me. I went there. I was given 2 days on the Israeli side and 2 days in the occupied territories to make up my mind. So we've done this before. It's not new. But what is new now is that the laws are progressively becoming racist and take the form of apartheid. And I think that's really what needs to be looked at. And I was surprised that you do that letter to the president, because I didn't expect him to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect him to understand that issue.
Reverend,
much better.
Reverend, I'm going to say thank you for the moment, because I know that there's going to be a lot of talking points off the back of that letter to the President. But, Reverend, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. We could speak all day. You know we could. Reverend Frank Chikane joining us here on ENCA.